Hi guys, Molweni guys. I hope you're all good. I hope you're doing well. We are back with AP 101. Um, the more I was doing, I've been doing the a systematic review, and I get to see the same problem I see all the time with people in public health, like with my people in public health. Not everyone loves to describe a study design, and that bothers me a lot. Like, I would teach my students and mentees to be explicit when you're describing a study design, because remember when you're writing up a research, right? You're conceptualizing concept note or even a protocol. When you're at a planning stage, you need to be explicit, intentional, and be thorough in your methodology, starting with the study design first. It's going to inform everything else that follows. So if your study design is proper, is well explained properly, it flows nicely with your sampling, for instance. So sampling technique, your sample size calculation, if applicable, your measurements, your population, things will follow proper, especially now the data analysis plan. They are all informed. The subsequent subsections in your research, they are being informed by your study design. So there's just no excuse, guys. You need to make sure you are explicit and confident in your study design. Make sure Uguti, you put it down and you consult if you're not sure, so that you can get that comfortable in describing it. So there mustn't be any in my view, if it was up to me, there shouldn't be any research that is being published without describing study design. It's just not okay. And the more I was thinking about it, I must just make a short video on this. And I'm thinking we actually need to start with sampling first, so that the study design can make sense. But it's fine. Let me quickly talk about study design, because that's my burning issue at this point. So angithi siyazi ukuthi our studies are divided into, we have analytic and descriptive studies. The analytic study, starting with the descriptive first. The descriptive studies is when we are mainly describing, right? The analysis itself, it's descriptive in nature. We're mainly describing. We could be describing the problem, wherever the problem is. We could be describing what the problem is, where is it, describing the magnitude or the spread of that particular problem, where did it happen, the geographical area of the problem, and when. That's the most important thing as well. We mustn't forget it. And among who. And when we are describing our problem, we are obviously going to see who looked like they are the most affected, or a vulnerable population. So that's basically your descriptive analysis. So most studies are being conducted, especially for MPH students, they always conduct a descriptive analysis. So these are studies where you are able to describe mainly a prevalence. Prevalence studies, or they go on to describe maybe the trends as well, the spread and the patterns of that disease. Those are part of descriptive studies, which is very good. Especially it starts there. We cannot go on to your analytical analysis without understanding and actually analyzing a descriptive analysis. The sequence has to be, you start with your descriptive first, then you go to your analytical, because descriptive is going to inform if hypothesis generation yakho, what is it that looks like is the problem, or the magnitude or the cause of the problem, or you are able to now come up with a hypothesis based on descriptive analysis. So it's very, very important. Descriptive analysis, they are just as important, because they assist in building up your hypothesis or your analytical analysis. So it starts there, right? Then we have the analytical analysis. Analytical analysis, now we are able to quantify or to ascertain. We could look at the cause of the disease. We could look at the risk factors. Now we're able to say the risk factor for this disease or for this health event is XYZ. We are able to look into the determining factors or the predicting factors. So all these things that we're talking about, people are just throwing them around. You are only allowed to talk about them provided you have conducted analytical analysis. You can't talk about risk factors or causes without analytical analysis, right? Because with analytical analysis, we have a control group. In descriptive analysis, we're just describing the occurrence of that health event or the disease at that point, the way things are. You don't need a comparison. You just describe things as they are. But with analytical analysis, you need a comparison group. When I start saying COVID-19 causes death, I need to have a control group, not only the people that had COVID-19 and died. I need to find other people that had something else and also died and measure all of these people. And then I get to see which COVID-19 people, they actually died more than the other people because I have a control group. So you need to have two groups of people that possess the exact same characteristics, right? Then you check which one had the most occurrence compared to the other. Ama cases bang laba the ones who are hypothesizing, your hypothesis, right? The ones that you're hypothesizing, whatever that you're thinking of, then there must be a control group that a control group must look exactly as the cases, and then you check which occurrence that you are claiming ukuthi higher or worse or lower or whatever the case is among your cases. Is it really that compared to your control group? So I think it starts there. I'm gonna make a part 2 and talk about study design. I think I needed to first align this and remind each other ukuthi sine analytical analysis and descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis, we are answering ukuthi what is the problem first? How much is this problem? When did it occur? Where exactly is it occurring? Among obani, so we are able to describe all those things. But with analytical analysis, first thing, you need to have a control group. Then you go on to determine saying occurrence layer, how is it different from your control group. With that information, you are able to talk about causes. We're able to talk about risk factors. We're able to talk about predicting factors. So only when you have analytical analysis, you're able to do that. So I'm saying this because also it forms an important background and a backbone of your study design, this thing. Sampling as well. Now I'm gonna touch quickly on sampling, but I'm not gonna go in depth right now because I think dinga a video your done. Not to confuse many, let me end here. Then I'm gonna go into part 2 and talk about study design, right? And then I'll do sampling. I'll do it maybe after maybe end of the week or so when I get time again. Now I took a break from my work. I'm very busy. It's midnight, but let's quickly talk about this while I still remember. I know I was leaving, but I just forgot the most important thing I wanted to say about the analytical studies. Remember, CTA analytical studies, that's when you're able to ascertain, right, or risk factors or causes or predicting factors, vulnerable group and all of that. So we remember ukuthi uyakwazi to think of something. Hypothesis nayikhumbula ukuthi it's a guess, it's an educated guess. You hypothesize because you saw something that kind of like looks like this could be what's happening. So with descriptive analysis, you're just describing, right? And then we are going to hypothesize based on a descriptive analysis. It looks like on a correlation. It looks like this group is the most affected. It looks like factors anje, they are the risk factors to this health event or this disease and all of that. Analytical hypothesis, on the other hand, you are testing the hypothesis. So that's why you are not allowed to start going in all causes. This causes this is a risk factor to this predicting factor. You can't without analytical analysis because you need to have a control group and you need to have tested the hypothesis. So only when you conducted is the analysis that tests the hypothesis, only then we're allowed to talk about causes or risk factors or predicting factors and all those stronger weights. So otherwise, analytical analysis is able to answer the how of the W's, the epidemiology, as well as the why. It's going to give the reasons why as well as how. So it So it definitely quantify the association that you are suspecting or that you are testing. You quantify ukuthi ikhona ngempela and how big is it.